Well, China's economic power has been a lifeline for Australia through the dark years of global financial crisis. Education especially has been a big money spinner. Chinese students made up almost a third of our international intake, contributing almost $7 billion to our cash-strapped universities. But with Chinese money comes Chinese influence. Allegations that China's ruling Communist Party is extending its interference and repression on Australian campuses. Dylan Welch with this report.
On a spring evening in Canberra, the local Chinese community is in a mood to celebrate. They've come together to mark the 45th anniversary of the Australia-China relationship. It'll be an evening of song and dance and flag-waving nationalism, all organised by the local chapter of the Chinese Students and Scholars Association, or the CSSA.
They have a hostile attitude to people who have any sort of problem with the Chinese government.
The CSSA has a track record of campus censorship and spying on Chinese students.
There have been many cases of Chinese Students and Scholars Association members admitting to or being caught informing on other students for dissident activities.
The CSSA is holding a tight rein on this evening's event, and our cameras not welcome. We were just filming up on the stairs behind me here, and someone came out and told us that the hirer of the venue doesn't want us filming it.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a ticket, so I couldn't go.
Wu Lebao is also not welcome. The ANU student fled China for Australia in 2012 after he was jailed for political activism. He and friend Alex Josky are persona non grata in most Chinese student circles because they don't toe the Beijing line.
Well, I think the CSSA is essentially a reminder to many students that even though they're in Australia, a free country, politically open country, they're still under the influence and under the watch of the Chinese government. Fujian is quite closely connected to Taiwan.
Alex Josky's mother was born in China but defected to marry his father. The 20-year-old speaks the language, and since enrolling at ANU, he's noticed censorship. He believes the CSSA is enforcing that censorship.
Their main interest is spying on Chinese students, watching them, monitoring them, making sure they know they're not 100% free when they're in Australia.
The Epoch Times tried to...
In 2011, Wu Lebao was accused of involvement in pro-democracy protests. He was convicted of subversion and sent to a labour camp, where he was beaten and endured back-breaking work.
I was forced to do the manufacturing labour for at least 14 hours per day, 7 days per week.
He's now living in Australia on a refugee visa, and he's surprised by the number of Chinese students who shun him.
I don't know. Actually, a sense of alienation still follows me. But I do find that I feel extremely unwelcome by the Chinese cycles in ANU.
The university students, they are very much more brainwashed, and the brainwash actually started from childhood in primary school.
Chen Yonglin knows better than most how the Chinese government controls Chinese students. As a senior diplomat here, he was responsible for spying on students and dissidents. Then, in 2005, he walked out of the Chinese consulate for the last time.
Hope that Australian people can protect me in some way so that I can stay here. I don't have to return to China to be persecuted.
Since defecting, he's issued repeated warnings here and overseas about Chinese spying.
All the students' association are were established by the Chinese embassy or consulate, and it's a wide network. They fully follow the instruction of the consulate, and through this organization to control these individual branches.
No answer. This building here is home to the New South Wales branch of the Chinese Students and Scholars Association. It's just a couple of blocks away from the University of New South Wales, just down there. But this is a big building. It can't just be home to a small university association. In fact, the building is owned by, is also home to, the Education Office of the Chinese Consulate in Sydney.
730 called and sent emails to most of the Australian CSSA branches. None replied. Alex Josky managed to evade the CSSA's attempts to police the gala guest list by pretending to be someone else. He filmed the event for 730. This was organised
by Chinese Student Association, I guess.
I think they get some help from the government, but it's basically association.
It's quite an honor for us to be here as an ANU student, and we very enjoyed tonight.
So it was quite clear what the focus was, and you probably heard the word motherland much more than the word Australia.
As China's assertiveness grows, universities like the ANU will be central to the fight for the hearts and minds of the hundreds of thousands of Chinese students studying here.